Hi, welcome to educators.com. I'm Shravanti. I'm the instructor for your Hadoop development course. In this current module, we are going to discuss about what is big data characteristics, types of data, where your big data is generating from, what are all the real-time use cases of your big data, and the issues and the challenges with your big data, solution for all the big data problems. What is big data? If you are a person who is new to big data world, if I ask you what is big data, then the answer will be the big is something related to the size. Probably the big data is nothing but a huge amount of the data. Right. So that huge amount of the data, can I consider a terabytes of the data as a big data and petabytes of the data as big data? What is the measurement and how I'm going to define my big data? So to understand the big data better, first let's try to understand what are all the things, characteristics defines your big data, and then we'll come back and see here what is the formal definition of your big data. Here your volume, variety and velocity. These three are the different and very important V's which defines your big data. Volume is nothing but what is the size of the data which you are going to store and process as part of your big data. This volume can be of any size. It can be a terabytes, petabytes, exabytes, zettabytes. There is no limitation. And what is variety? The variety is nothing but what type of the data we are going to store. It may be a image files, it may be a audio files, video files, some text files, some XML files, lot of formats of the data. So what format we are going to store talks about the variety. Velocity is nothing but at which speed your data is growing. Let's assume my organization is very small right now. I have a less customer base. So I need 100 terabytes of the data itself. But let's assume that in a year, my organization has tremendously bigger and we have a lot of customer base. And also, instead of getting the 100 terabytes of the data, I'm getting 1,000 terabytes of the data into the system. So how my system is going to handle such a change in the size of the data? That is what we call it as a velocity of the data. So whenever you are deciding your organization has to implement any of the big data technologies or big data frameworks, you must need to think about these three things: volume, variety, and the velocity. So now, if you see the big data definition, here in the last sentence, you can see that the big data is nothing but it's a collection of huge amount of the data which can be of different forms. We are going to see in the next couple of slides what are the forms, what are the types of the data which you are going to have. And also this big data is too large. That is, here I am mentioning about the volume. And also it is too fast. That is nothing but we are talking about the velocity. And the other important thing is the big data cannot be stored and managed by your traditional RDBMS. That means whatever the Oracle, MySQL, PostgreSQL, Microsoft SQL, whatever the RDBMS right now we are having it, we cannot use that particular RDBMS to store and process our big data. That is another important property of this big data. So here we are talking about the different types of the data. So what are all the different types of the data available in the world? If you categorize that into the three different categories, that will be a structured data, semi-structured data, and unstructured data. That is nothing but structured data is nothing but the data whatever is storing as part of your RDBMS. Whatever you can see in your Oracle tables or MySQL tables, like it is having a proper table definition and you will be having a columns and your data will be in the row wise. So everything is having a proper structure. That is what we call it as a structured data. Hardly 5% of the data in the world will be the structured data. And when it comes to the semi-structured data whatever is presented as part of your XML files and JSON files, all these things we consider it as semi-structured data. This also takes just 5% of the data in the entire world. When it comes to the unstructured data, 90% of the data whatever we are seeing is the unstructured data. For example, all the social media data, the Twitter tweets, it may be a Facebook post, it may be your Facebook messages and YouTube videos, some images, audio files, the information from your machines like the sensor data and the text files, PDF files, and many more. All these things are your unstructured data. If you are having a structured data, you can deal with your RDBMS. But if you are having your unstructured data, we must need to go ahead with our big data technologies. Going forward, we are going to clearly understand about how we are going to deal with our unstructured data, how I'm going to store it, and also how I'm going to process my unstructured data. That is fine. Now we understand what is big data and also what are the important characteristics of your big data. But where exactly this big data is generating from? Let's try to see the sources of our big data. If we categorize the big data into the three different things, social data, machine data, and transactional data, we can consider it as. So the major big data is generating from your social media networking sites. In terms of your Twitter tweets, in terms of your Facebook posts, it may be your Facebook videos and the images which you uploaded, or YouTube videos which you uploaded. All this data is the social data, which is having a very huge amount of the data is generating from your social media networking sites. And what about the other forms? The another thing is the machinery data. That is nothing but whatever the data is generating from your, maybe the satellites, for example. NASA is having a huge amount of the satellites. All this satellite information is quite big in size. And also whatever the data is captured in your flight black box and sensor information. And our computers are also a machine. So the data, the log files which are generating from your web servers. These are all the machinery data. This is also unstructured data. And if you're talking about the last one, the transactional data, that is nothing but whatever the data is storing as part of your the purchases. Suppose, for example, in the Amazon, I purchase some product, or else I search some product. In the earlier days, we used to have order table and used to have a customer table. Everything used to store in the RDBMS. But right now, even including your search criteria are also going to be stored. If I'm searching for some book, Hadoop Big Data book, so even your search criteria is also going to store as part of your big data systems to take some decisions out of that. So these are the biggest sources where exactly your big data is generating from. So what are the real-time use cases of your big data? We all are aware of our social media networking sites. There, for example, in the Twitter, whatever you're tweeting, we can do a sentimental analysis. What exactly this social media sentimental analysis is nothing but, for example, I wanted to do analysis on a movie which is recently been released. Let's assume Jurassic Park is a movie. That team wants to know what people are talking about that movie, whether it is a positive talk or negative talk or neutral talk on a particular movie. How we can do is, as part of the sentimental analysis, we will be having the three types of buckets. One is the positive bucket, negative bucket, and neutral bucket. And apart from these three buckets, we will be also having something called an adjective table. That consisting of all the adjectives. For example, under the positive, if anybody is tweeting super, wonderful, excellent, such kind of the keywords in their tweets, that will consider as a positive tweet and that will coming into your positive bucket. So here let's assume a first user came in and he tweeted saying that Jurassic Park is a super hit. So whatever the tweet is there, it compared with your adjective table. The super is positive. So that means that particular tweet, Jurassic Park is a super hit, will come under your positive bucket. Let's say that it is a Jurassic Park is average flick, that will coming into your neutral bucket after comparing with the adjective tables. Like that. If the team wants to know what is the how much percentage of the people are talking about positive and how much percentage of the people talking about the negative about my movie, I can get the percentages. And not only the percentages, we can do a clear-cut analysis on which time frame more people are watching the movies. What is the trend? All these things we can draw from your social media sentimental analysis. And what are the other real-time use cases? Intelligent traffic management system. That is, we all know about the Uber cabs. The Uber cabs is using the big data technologies for their intelligent traffic management systems. That means they collect all the data from the GPS devices, and wherever there is a traffic jam, Uber cab driver is going to be displayed with a new route to get the more benefit, because how many number of people, many number of travelers they are getting into the cabs, their business is more. So they should not be stuck as part of these traffic jams. That is the reason why this intelligent traffic management system, which helps user cabs, Uber cabs to improve their business. And what next? Advertisements. What kind of advertisements? Here, we are all the users of the Facebook. So there, Facebook displays some of the advertisements to you and you feel that those are very, very relevant to us. So how exactly it is going to be displayed is nothing but each and everything, whatever you are doing it as part of your Facebook. Like it may be a Facebook page like, it may be a video upload, it may be some audio upload, some images, some check-ins. Each and everything is going to be considered and they are going to use your data to give you a better feel of whatever the advertisements they are going to get. That is nothing but, in simple words, suppose if I am a fashion freak and I like a lot of Facebook pages with my Facebook ID, and not only that, I have done the check-ins into a lot of fashion stores, for instance. So what kind of advertisements are getting displayed to you is nothing but, those are all more related to the fashion industry itself. Probably You can get the advertisements related to the Macy's, JCPenney or Jabang or Myntra, such kind of fashion stores advertisements getting displayed to you. So each and every user is personalized. These advertisements are personalized based upon your profiles, based upon your history. Those advertisements are getting displayed to you. So that also it uses the big data technologies. And if you consider the other real-time use cases, there is something called a real-time fraud detection. That is nothing but if a bank wants to issue a credit card or loan to you. So to avoid the frauds, what they are going to get is there is something called a 360 degrees of the customer overview. That is nothing but related to a customer, all the information like how many credit cards he is having it, how many loans he is having it, and is he in the defaulter list, and is he capable of paying it or not. Companies can take a decision before they are issuing a loan to you. They can avoid the fraud. They can find out the fraud, detect the fraud with the help of this 360 degrees of the customer overview. And if you consider the another example, there is IT log file analysis. It is nothing but, let's assume my business is there in US and I have a website and lot of hits I am getting from the Europe. You have to clearly understand that by seeing your web server logs, analyzing your web server logs, you can understand that what is the reason why I'm getting a lot of hits from the Europe, wherein my business is not even exist. So is there any robotic hits? Is there any firewall issues? Such kind of the things you can analyze with the help of your big data technologies. And not only this, lot and lot of real-time examples are there with the big data. We all know about the Netflix. So Netflix also uses the big data technologies to give you the recommendation of the programs. It runs a lot of powerful algorithms behind the scene to display you all the kind of related programs, recommendation engine it uses. And not only that, the Walmart also uses the big data technologies to improve their business. They will be storing all the information, even the online and offline store. What are the purchases information, the customer information, everything in place. And they can run a lot of powerful analytics as part of their big data to take the decisions and to improve their business. So if we are talking about any fields, even from the banking and finance, and the traveling, the social media, each and every field we do have our big data use cases. And even in the healthcare as well, because there are a lot of researches are going on to find out the cancer cells as part of our, with the help of our big data technologies. So what are the challenges are involved with the help of the big data? It's nothing but the first and foremost thing is the storage. When I say that big data, it is a huge amount of the data is there. How I'm going to store my data? I must require a good system to store all my big data. And also, what is the cost? When I say that each and every information is going to be stored as part of the system, I must require a huge amount of the system. So what is the cost involved with the system? And then comes to your computational efficiency, because storage is not only my concern. I need to do a proper processing. So how far your big data processing techniques are faster and how efficient are they? And finally, the data loss. I'm storing each and every information, but if something is, I'm losing my data, if some machine is down and if I'm losing my data, how far my data is safety? These are all the biggest challenges have been considered by the industry. So to answer all your big data challenges, we have a solution is our big fat elephant, that is Hadoop. Hadoop is a solution for all our big data challenges. In the next module, we are going to see what is Hadoop and how it is going to solve all your big data challenges. And also how we are going to implement Hadoop as part of your systems. I will end up the session over here and let's see more in-depth details about the Hadoop in our next module. So to summarize, we talk about what is big data. Big data is nothing but a huge amount of the data which cannot be stored as part of your regular traditional RDBMS. And also we discussed three important characteristics: volume, variety, and the velocity. And also we have understand where the big data is generating from, mainly from the social media sites and the machines, and also from the transactional data as well. And we have seen the real-time use cases of your big data in terms of your sentimental analysis and advertisements, fraud detections, and the intelligent traffic management systems, how the cancer cells are going to be detected. Lot and lot of real-time use cases we talk about. And also, we have understand what are the big data challenges in terms of your storing, in terms of the cost, and how we are going to process, and what about the data loss. These are all the challenges we have seen. And to solve all of your challenges, the solution is Hadoop. Hadoop is a big data framework which is going to solve all the challenges whatever we have seen. Thank you. Let's catch up in the next module.